you know, this car makes you do the work, and
Right.
it's fun.
Right.
Because that's, to me, that's what driving is all about, is being one with the car and
Yes.
and just getting into a flow state and working the gears, working the pedals, working the wheel.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, it's heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go out here in regular mode first for a lap. And then I'll go into sport mode and then track mode. Okay, I think I have space. I'll be curious to see if there's a big difference or not.
I've owned the Emira now for about 6 months, and I've clocked about 5,000 miles on the odometer, including some fun, spirited drives, but this is the first time I've had it on the track. And I'm taking it on track exactly as it was delivered to me, with no modifications. I haven't changed tires, I haven't changed the brake fluid, nothing. But I'm not being reckless. The Lotus Emira is ready for the track right out of the factory. The track is the North Carolina Center for Automotive Research, and I've been to this track before. I took my Alfa Romeo 4C here last year, so it'll be interesting to compare the two experiences. I'll start out today's video by doing a lap in each of the 3 drive modes in the Lotus Emira. Then I'll share my impressions of the Emira on track. Then I'll go for a short ride along with Eric in his Lotus Emira. One of the things I absolutely love about the Lotus Emira is how accessible it is. I've now met several guys like Eric who hadn't had sports cars for a couple decades, and this might be their first Lotus car, and it might also be the first car that they've taken onto a track. The Lotus Emira is a great first Lotus, combining all the creature comforts necessary for daily driving, but also being comfortable on track. So buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Okay, so this is normal drive mode.
The track is the North Carolina Center for Automotive Research track, and last year I brought my Alfa Romeo 4C here, so I'll be able to compare that with the Emira. And during this track day, I had the opportunity to go for ride-alongs in another Lotus Emira, a Porsche Cayman 718 GT4, and I even got to drive a friend's highly modified Lotus Elise with well over 300 horsepower. As expected, the steering in the Lotus Emira did not disappoint, especially in these chicanes. The tram lining that is so prevalent and problematic in the Alfa Romeo 4C, and to a lesser extent in the Lotus Elise, doesn't exist in the Lotus Emira. I did a little experiment on my drive to the track. While I was driving on a nice straight stretch of highway, I actually took my hands off the wheel to see how true it would drive. And to my utter amazement, I could actually keep my hands off the wheel for 10 or 12 seconds, and it would just keep driving in a completely straight line. If I were to do the same thing in the Alfa Romeo 4C, it would veer off severely after hitting just the most minor defect in the road surface.
Got up to 131. Okay, I'm going to change into sport mode. Okay, I'm changing into sport mode. If I read that right, I think I saw the wrong signal. Okay, that was a little tight.
The other thing I tried out on the highway drive is the feedback response. So I held the steering wheel with just like a fingertip. And whenever the car drove over anything, a tiny little ripple on the road, a little piece of gravel, you could feel it all the way through the steering wheel into your fingertips with just the lightest contact. So the feedback is amazing. By comparison, the steering feedback in the Porsche GT4 is not nearly as good, according to my friend Dom. When I first got the Emira on the track, I was a little worried about how the steering would handle, because it's a much heavier car and larger than the Alfa Romeo 4C or my Lotus Elise. But after I got comfortable with it on the track, it performed admirably. And just like you expect from Lotus, it handled all the curves wonderfully.
Okay, I'm switching into track mode. Got it up to 134 that time. Pushing a little too much, I think. So I'd say I definitely notice a difference in the through track modes, although maybe not a huge difference, right? I'd say the Emira handles fabulously in these corners. I was here last year in my Alfa Romeo 4C, and initially the Emira felt a little bit heavier, a little bit more languorous, I guess you could say. But as I get more comfortable with the car on the track, it's just sticking to the road like nothing. Okay, I decided to brake a little earlier this time. I think I'm going to take it in this lap. Oh, this is fun. See, it was good getting to ride with Zach because he's a much better driver than I am, and seeing how he trusts the car and the way he drives the lines and stuff, it was great. Gives me some confidence, but not too much. I'm not going to overdo it. I don't want to overcommit. This is way too expensive of a car to risk it, but still, it's nice to have some fun and learn from others. So that was a blast. I really enjoyed that. I'm in the second half of the day today and feeling more and more comfortable on the track and in the car on the track. Comparing it to the Alfa Romeo 4C is hard. They're very different cars, and yet I feel pretty comfortable in both of them on this track. So in that respect, they're very similar cars. They're both super capable track cars.
Let's turn on the G-force screen here.
Okay, so I'm here with Eric in his stock Lotus Emira, and you have not changed anything, right?
No, sir. I've just
Okay.
put a short shifter
Oh, that's right.
doohickey on there. But I've changed nothing on the intake, nothing on the exhaust, nothing on the suspension.
Okay, and did you go with the Sport or the Touring suspension?
I have the Sport suspension. I like the way it's set up for twisty mountain roads, which is my favorite place to drive this thing with friends. This is the straightaway.
My first time as a passenger in an Emira on a track. I always find it's a different experience driving a track versus being a passenger.
Don't throw up in your helmet. I love the Emira.
Yeah.
Such a great car.
Now, is this your first Lotus?
Actually, it is. I've had a Mazda RX-7 twin turbo.
Oh,
Got
what
a
year?
little out of control there. 1993.
Oh, awesome. I had a 92.
Yeah, that was a great car also.
That was an amazing car.
Super light. 255 horsepower stock, rotary. But I never tracked that car.
Uh-huh. How
But
long did
I've
you
been a
have it?
Lotus fan all my life since seeing James Bond drive one underwater. Yeah, and when I saw the Emira, I just fell in love with it and placed my order in August of 2021 and took delivery in April of 2024. But it just has so much power, so much grip. It gets the job done. Pretty good brakes too.
Yeah, it does.
The hydraulic steering is one of the best things about this. I'm still fighting it a little here. Love the way the supercharger sounds also. Woo!
That was fun.
Yeah.
Whoop. This is your first Lotus.
Yes, sir.
You had a 93 Mazda RX-7 before that. How long did you have it for?
I had that for about 7 years. And then
Okay.
unfortunately it was totaled, not in a collision, but a freak accident. It caught fire. Broke my heart. Didn't have a sports car for several years after that. Right before this, I had a Cayman, 2006 Cayman
Oh, nice.
S. I had that for a couple years just to hold me over while I ordered the Emira. That was a fun car. It's a lot like the Emira actually. 6-speed, V6 mid-mounted. I can see why they are competitors. They're very similar under the skin.
Did you take the Cayman on track?
Never got a chance to, actually. That was more just twisty mountain roads.
Gotcha. Okay. So this is really the first car you've taken on track days, right?
Yeah, my dad had a C8 Corvette. He bought one of the first ones, and I took it to a couple of track events at Charlotte Motor Speedway, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't.
Right.
It was follow the pace car type
Right,
thing.
Right. So like a charity lap.
Charity laps.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yep.
That was fun also.
Yeah.
Corvette's a powerful car. That's one of the
Yeah.
competitors to this too. I feel like the Corvette has more muscle, of course,
Yeah.
but This is, I like this a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue the value proposition of that C8.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's amazing. I
I
rented
think he
one.
paid 80,000 out of the door for it.
Oh wow! So he
Yeah.
got a good price. I mean,
That
a
was
lot
the
of dealer
sticker
markups.
price.
Yeah, there were a lot of dealer markups on those things.
Yep.
So that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned those cars because I was kind of looking at all three.
Sure.
You know, because in terms of like track car, fun car,
Yep.
exotic looks,
Daily
all
driver,
that
exotic
stuff.
looks.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a head turner for sure.
It is, and that's the thing. It's like I really like the looks of like the C8 and the Cayman.
Yep.
But
they're
not
so
as
common.
rare. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of that much larger production volume, it's
Yep.
just not as rare.
People think this is a Ferrari.
Exactly.
I see on the, on I-85 driving up here, people will be speeding behind you. They'll pull up next to you and then just like match you.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they'll like look at you for a minute and then they'll just go on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just people don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like to be a little bit different. I've always been, somebody who doesn't like the mainstream or the.
Cool. That's cool. What's the right car for that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lotus.
If you had it red, then they'd really think it was a Ferrari.
Yes, yes.
How do you find the pedal layout in here?
Wow, the pedals are very small.
Yeah.
When I wear running shoes, just driving it around town, I kind of catch the brake pedal. You probably do too.
Oh yeah.
So for track events, definitely get driving shoes. So much narrower, no flare on the sole.
Yeah. I have a specific question.
Yeah.
So when I am trying to hit the brake,
Yeah.
so for some reason, I'm always overlapping with the clutch pedal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I don't know if you experience that or not.
I have not experienced that.
Okay.
I've messed around a little with the heel and toe. The pedal layout is very compact, and it really helps that if you're somebody that likes to do that in the mountains again.
Is this your daily driver?
Well, I work from home, so I don't drive. I don't drive every day.
Okay, gotcha.
So occasionally I'll drive it to the airport. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, it is my daily driver. But my wife and I split another car.
And how does she feel about the Emira?
She loves to go on date night
Oh,
in it.
really?
Yep.
Oh,
She
good for
loves the
you.
car as a date night car. She's not crazy about mountain drives, and she refuses to do any track events with me.
Hey, take what you get.
Yeah.
Because as I keep telling folks, it's like, so my wife has been I've had my Elise for 10 years.
Yep.
She's been in it one time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I had the Alfa Romeo for 2 years. I think she was in it 2 or 3 times. She actually drove it because
Wow.
I had hip replacement surgery.
Oh, wow.
So she drove it because I had to use her van. You were showing me you bought the Lotus.
I bought the
luggage set.
Lotus luggage.
And
a
you say
few
that
pieces.
like you regret it or something.
I don't regret it. It's just I'm not that guy. But
You're not that guy.
I'm not that-
Evidently, you are.
Well, have I showed you my socks? So
No.
I have. So maybe I am that guy.
Maybe you are that guy. Maybe you're becoming that guy.
I have the shoes and the socks, the Jim Clark
Oh, nice. Okay.
shoes and the luggage. So
Yeah, okay,
I must
very
be
nice.
that guy.
Any other thoughts just on the handling of the car, how it drove on track?
I think it's very neutral. It doesn't understeer or push much at all. It doesn't oversteer. I've never felt the back end get out while we were driving today, and I had it in track mode, which
Yeah, no
is the most
stability
dangerous mode. No, I just love the way it drives. It's just so fantastic. Again, I'm not super experienced with sports cars, but I love everything about it. Fortunately, I haven't had any of the reliability problems that you're hearing about on the internet. I love the way it looks. The only thing I'm contemplating is just make some subtle changes to the looks,
Yeah,
make it look
yeah.
more racy.
Sometimes a graphic can add something too.
True,
Like a
true.
racing stripe. Like, yeah, I could get away with like a green racing stripe. You could
Yep.
get away with a yellow one. That would be
Yeah,
great. Match your
yeah.
socks.
Exactly.
So,
I should.
yeah, so I love that stuff. Oh, I see you got the yellow stitching
I did.
too,
Yep.
which
The
goes
only
also
thing
very
I
nice.
would like to have it again, a yellow stripe right there. That would be cool.
Yeah, I was very bummed when they said that they weren't. I
Yeah.
forget what the deal was. Like certain cars had them, and then they
Yeah.
stopped doing it.
I don't
and-
know.
So
I was disappointed in that.
The only way I know to get that properly is you can get a replacement steering wheel.
Sure.
But it's not cheap.
For me, I like to do the work of driving, and this shifter, you know, it feels like an old school shifter. It's clunky.
Yeah.
It's noisy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know, this car makes you do the work, and
Right.
it's fun.
Right.
Because to me, that's what driving is all about, is being one with the car and just getting into a flow state and working the gears, working the pedals, working the wheel.
Yeah.
It's just, for me, it's heaven.
Yeah.
Very
Well, thank
short.
you, Eric. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Peter. Thank you
think
for all
this'll-
you do and for putting this together.
It's your world and I'm just the squirrel trying to get a nut to move your butt.
Please subscribe now. You know you want to. And why not go nuts and set notifications on so you'll be notified every time I put out new content.